What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We've got some great news for you guys this month. It's October, fishing's getting good, and I've got a good report for you guys, so that's a good thing. I'm getting ready to head to the U.S. Open on Lake Mojave tomorrow, but of course I had to run out here and do this fishing report first because I don't want to leave you guys hanging. No sense in doing an October fishing report if you guys get it at the end of the month. So trying to get to this fairly early. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the content, please do so. And also a shout out to Hatch Toyota. They sponsor this fishing report, and really appreciate the partnership that I've got with them. So if you're in the market for a vehicle, especially Toyota, run up to Sholo and give them a shot. They beat everyone's price. They've got great inventory, and they're great people to work with. So, talking about the fishing here in Arizona this fall, we are in a true fall pattern. Right now we're the first week of October, and I've seen all the lakes change significantly. I've seen the bait really show up and start to push shallow on most of the lakes, and the water temps dropped a lot. For the most part, the water's in the mid 70s in most of our lakes here around Central Arizona. I've been fishing a lot. Been on Saguaro, Roosevelt, Bartlett primarily, but I've had some reports from the other lakes as well. Really, the only lake that seems to be making a downturn is Roosevelt. For whatever, or I'm sorry, Saguaro. Typically this time of year, you're going to see that. I talk about the difference between the Florida strain fish and the northern strain fish on our lakes all the time. Saguaro, in my opinion, is a very high percentage Florida strain bass that lives in there. And those dudes really get pretty tough this time of year. You can still go catch some fish. I was out on the water doing an instructional trip the other day. Talked to a guy that had fished all night. He launched his boat at midnight and was unloading around 9, 10 a.m. He had caught 12 bass over that period. So really, for this time of year, that's not bad. The last couple trips I did out there, we caught like 5. I filmed an episode with Johnny Johnson. That'll be airing soon on Valley Sports. We ended up catching some nice fish, but it took a lot of work. One on top water, the rest on drop shot. But it's tough. One thing I like to do at Saguaro this time of year if I'm out there is just look for a little bit of grass. If you can find that submerged grass, you'll find some fish in it in the fall. Still a few fish on the walls. You can catch a couple on top water or other reaction, but it's tough. September's a tough month on Saguaro. It's when it really starts to go downhill. I hate to say that, but it goes downhill all through the wintertime. You can go out there in the wintertime and catch some big fish, but you're typically not going to catch the numbers. That really, really fades out there this time of year. Now, Canyon, it's a little bit better. It's still not a slugfest out there. It's a little bit better than Saguaro usually this time of year. If you're still after that big fish, Canyon's a nice little option. I fish it a lot like I fish Saguaro. So, if you're fish Saguaro all the time, but you're unfamiliar with Canyon, you could run out there and do similar stuff. It's a longer drive. It's hit or miss. That's why you don't see quite as many boats out there. It's very hit or miss. I'd say it's more so overall than Saguaro. That's why we don't talk about it quite as much, but it's always worth a shot at a big fish. So you can definitely run out there and check that out. Roosevelt, I've been up there quite a bit. Fished a tournament last month. I did quite a few trips up there, and filmed a YouTube video for my for this channel. Yeah. Fishing is getting better out there. The topwater bite's starting to come to life. It's still a little hit or miss, but it's pretty good. I'm not going to say great, but it's pretty good, and it seems to be getting better. You can go out there, cover a lot of water, and catch some fish. And covering water is the key. I talk about that in the video that I did last week, and go back and watch that video. Go back and see it if you haven't seen it already, because you can see what I'm talking about. I would go into one pocket and catch a couple fish, and then go for another 45 minutes without a bite, and then get in another area and catch 3, and then go 45 minutes without a bite, and so on and so forth. So it's all about covering water. The fishing's so random. The water's so high, there's so much cover in the water, there's so much brush in the water that you never know when you're going to get a bite. And that's one of the crazy things about it. I had a trip up there last week, and I had a couple fish eat right at the boat. You make a nice cast up through the lanes of all the trees, and you pull it by one tree, and you're expecting one to come out and get it. Nothing. You pull it by the next tree, you're thinking one's going to eat it, nothing. And then you get it up to the boat, you're about to give up on your cast, and you're burning it back to the boat, and whoosh, one comes up from a tree that's right under you. So it's pretty crazy, but that's how it is right now. Cover lots of water, make lots of casts, and you'll catch fish. Fishing's good. I would throw a buzz bait. I would really stick to a buzz bait or a Berkeley Chopo. If you get into an area that you think has a lot of fish, you can catch them on a popper, on a walking bait. The popper, you don't cover as much water. I talked about that before, but it's a good way to catch them. And one thing I do this time of year a lot too is I throw a soft plastic jerk bait. I like to throw that jerk bait. It's usually like I throw a 5-inch jerk bait, something like a jerk shad from Berkeley, a power jerk shad, either white or like a smoky color, a smoke color, depending on the conditions. Like early in the morning, I throw white. If it's bright sun, I throw that smoke shad color and fish it really, really fast, like really fast. Those fish, that definitely seems to be a triggering element for those fish right now. I talked about how sometimes they've been eating it as you're bringing it back to the boat, but really fast seems to be triggering those fish to eat. There's a lot of shad around. They've got a lot of, it's very fertile. There's a lot of opportunities for them to eat. So if you don't do something different with your bait, if it looks like just any other shad that's swimming by, they're just going to do just that and let it swim by. Make a different presentation, run your bait into the bush, fish it really fast, do something different with it to try to get those fish to trigger. That seems to be kind of a thing right now for sure. You can catch some fish flipping. You can catch a few fish deep still, but it definitely seems like if you want to catch numbers with a shot at a good one, cover some water, throw a fast moving bait, and hope for the best. It can be frustrating because of the amount of brush. You're going to get hung up a lot. You're going to scratch your boat up. But if you like to fish in the jungle, that's the place to do it. Lake Pleasant has been pumping out some crazy numbers of stripers and whites and decent largemouth. It's a great place to go this time of year. It's one of the best topwater lakes in our state. So if you like fishing reaction baits, topwaters, you'll catch some largemouth doing that. The whites and stripers are a little deeper. You're going to be probably spooning, Damiki rigging, something like that. But it's worth a shot. Some of the fish are starting to make their push into the creeks. Those fish live on that main lake a lot in the summertime. And as that water starts to cool down, they're going to get back into Castle Creek, Humbug, Coles, the river's, great this time of year. So definitely I talked to, a couple reports ago how you need to be on the main lake. Anything that's touching the main lake this time of year, do not be afraid to go back into the creeks. And hey, if you get into the back of an area or get into an area and it's got a lot of bait in it and you don't catch fish, don't give up on that area. A lot of times, if I find bait but I don't catch fish, I tell myself, hey, they're going to be here. My timing's just not right. You might try it again later that day or maybe even the next time you go fishing and run into those fish. It's a lot of it, the fishing this time of year is about timing. And the fish are on the move. It's not like it's the spawn and you fish by a bush and there's one fish in that bush guarding fry and you catch that fish and he's toast, right? Like you're not going to catch another fish out of that bush the rest of the day. This time of year, they're moving around chasing bait. So if you fish through an area, even if you catch them, odds are fresh fish are going to move into the area that are after that bait. It's all about that bait right now, and the fish are moving around a lot. So don't be afraid to hit areas, if they're good, multiple times a day. I'm a guy that likes to fish a lot of new water when I can, but hey man, if you found something really, really good, don't be afraid to double back on it right now. The other lake that I've been fishing quite a bit is Bartlett. I've been there a few times over the last couple weeks, and it's really good. Actually, the best numbers that I've caught on any lake in quite a while. We had a trip the other day. We caught a lot of fish. Couldn't even count the amount that we caught. We caught most of them on the Berkeley Dime 6-foot diving crankbait. It's a fairly new crankbait out from Berkeley. They call it the 6. It dives 7 or 8 feet actually, so it's kind of a nice medium diving crankbait. Just throwing shad patterns. The water's dirty. Water's got a lot of color to it, so bright baits are gonna be good. You definitely can catch them worming, drop shotting, shaky head, stuff like that. For us, it was really windy on that day that we absolutely smoked them, and we did it with cranks. So just any little, anywhere you can get around the bait, but the little points, the water's low, so it's real predictable. You know, you look through an area and you got sand and then you got rock. They're going to be on that transition. They're going to be on the transition from sand to rock, little points, backs of pockets with stick ups. You can catch them on topwater early in the morning, like buzz baits, crankbaits, pretty much all day. If you want to slow down, you can definitely catch them fishing slow, but it's just kind of a free for all out there right now. Water's low, the fish are stacked up, they're shallow, they're aggressive. One thing about that dirty water, when you get dirty water on lakes like Bartlett, is the fish have to be shallow. You know, if you have 8 inches of visibility, 1 foot of visibility, I'm not going to fish any deeper than 10 or 12 feet. I'm going to stay shallow. There's not much light penetration to get to those deep fish, and they're biting shallow. So definitely get out there if you can, if you're looking to catch a lot of fish. You know, I'd love to talk about other stuff, but you know, I really haven't. I haven't been on the Colorado River. I have not been to Havasu, not been to Martinez. I'm headed to Mojave, so hopefully I've got a great fishing report from Mojave after the U.S. Open. But I'm headed there tomorrow, so wish me luck out there. Hoping to back up last year. I won the tournament last year, so with any luck, I can at least go have a good showing, have some fun, and catch a lot of fish. It's always great to go to that tournament because I see a lot of old friends that I don't get to see throughout the course of the year from the whole West, and guys from everywhere. So anyways, good luck with your fishing the rest of the month. I'll be back at you in November. This is one of the best months to fish in Arizona, guys. So if you get the opportunity and you're not hunting, get out in the water and go catch some fish. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next month.